everyone and welcome to our newest project video. So today I'm going to be showing you the printing steps that are involved with making your own craft storage box. Now this really can be used for anything, but it's a really good excuse to get your blocks out and to make something that will be useful around the house. Now this is a new product of ours. It is made by the same people that we get the lampshade kits from, so if you've ever made one of them, it's very similar and it's very simple and easy to make. There's really good instructions, and in this kit comes all the equipment you need to make your storage box, and also we have pre-cut the fabric to the right size, so the fabric is also included in the kit. Now, all you're going to need is your fabric paints and blocks at home, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the printing steps involved with making the storage box, and then in part 2 I'm going to show you a professional video, and that shows you how to put the fabric and the equipment together to make your storage box. So it's a 2-part video and I'm going to be showing you all the steps you need for printing in this one. So I just wanted to show you quickly a little bit about the storage box. Like I said, this is a new product, but I really like it and I think it's going to be really useful, and I know lots of you guys are going to like it. Like I said, it's a very good excuse to get your blocks out and just have a bit of fun and make something that you're going to use. We can all only make so many tea towels, so it's nice to try something different. Now it's quite large. It's larger than I thought it would be when I first made it, so it's got plenty of room to keep stuff in. So you can print the fabric that goes all the way around the outside on all 4 sides. It's got a wire here for you to hold, and then it's also got like a PVC bottom, so this is very hardy, it's not very flexible, so this is a really great bottom to your storage box. So you just slip that in and that goes at the bottom, so it's really securely going to be able to take a lot of weight, and then you'll be able to carry it if you need to with the handle. So hopefully you guys will agree that this is a nice new product to have a go at making. You know, you could have it, it's meant to be a sewing bin, so you could have it as a sewing bin, or just have it as a box in your craft room or something in your living room. It's completely up to you. I think it's got a lot of uses and I'm sure you'll find something to do with it. So I've already made 2 of the storage boxes. The first one I did was a meadow and hare, because this is my favourite design really, and I like to use it in every way possible. So I've printed in duck egg blue the meadow with the leaping hare and midnight over the top, and then just some little violet dragonflies. So I thought this was something that I could put in the bedroom or the living room. It's just a design that will work, you know, anywhere in the house. And then the other one I tried was a sewing bin inspired one. So I thought this is a good design to go in the craft room or to use as a sewing bin. So this has got sewing machines, thread, some bunting, some little birds and stars. So this is more of a crafty inspired storage box. So it's completely up to you what you make. You can do it for any purpose. It doesn't just have to be a craft box. Right, so we're going to have a look inside the kit to see what it includes so you know what's going on. So first of all, we have a instruction leaflet. This is provided by the manufacturers and it's got very simple instructions to follow. So if you're stuck at any point during the making process, you can just refer to this. You've got your 2 wires. Now these make up the frame of your box, so the bottom and the top. So that's what these are. You've got the hard kind of plastic PVC panel, and this is what goes at the bottom of the storage box to make it very sturdy and secure. So that's what that is. You've got double-sided sticky tape for attaching your fabric panel to your wires, which you'll use later. This little tucking in tool, again for later in the process. And then you've got your fabric, which is pre-cut to the right size. And then also you have your sticky back plastic PVC panel. Now this comes all rolled up, but I do suggest you take it out before you make it and flatten it, otherwise it's quite hard to use. So on one side there is the sticky back plastic with a piece of paper that you can peel back, and the other side is just the plain white PVC. But you'll notice on the plain side that there is a score mark along each of the long sides, which we call a kiss cut. Now, later on in the process, we remove this bit as it gives us the perfect amount of fabric to wrap around the wires and tuck in to hold it all securely together. But first of all, we're going to stick our fabric to the PVC panel. Right, so first step is we're going to attach the fabric to the PVC panel. Now, just make sure you've got a clear table to do this, as you need quite a lot of space. So put these down. So the piece of fabric that comes pre-cut to the right size, make sure you give it an iron before you do this so it's nice and flat with no creases in. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to lay your fabric over the PVC panel. So all of the PVC panel is covered and in the middle of the fabric. So all of the fabric is covering the PVC panel. And you'll notice the fabric is quite a lot larger than the panel, but this gives you excess just in case you go slightly off course. So what you want to do is peel your fabric back, and on the sticky side, so you want to have the line side facing up, because this is where the stickiness is. And you're going to peel back the paper slightly to reveal about 3 or 4 inches of the sticky panel. I'm going to fold my piece of paper back, and then I'm going to lay my fabric back over, and make sure your hands are clean for this. And with my clean hand, I'm just going to smooth the fabric over the plastic sticky panel so that attaches the fabric and the panel together. And then I slide my hand underneath the fabric and just slowly, like an inch at a time, just pull the paper back to reveal the sticky side, and then you can just rub your hand over it to attach the fabric. So, and you just do this all the way down, and it's very easy and simple to then attach your fabric to the panel. And we always attach our fabric to the panel before printing, as it's much easier to then work out your design, and then you don't have to faff around with trying to attach your printed fabric to the panel and making sure it's straight. So if I show you what I'm doing, I'm just slowly peeling back the lined paper and just running my hand along it to attach the fabric to the panel. And by doing it this way, you just make sure that you don't get any air bubbles or anything. And if any threads do go inside or anything, you can just peel your fabric back, pull them out, and then carry on. So it's very easy to rectify if you make any mistakes. And there we have it. My PVC panel is now attached to my fabric with plenty of excess on either side, and we can get ready for our printing now. So before you start printing, make sure you've practiced your design. So I've gone with a beach hut, nautical kind of sea life theme. So I've printed a sample piece here so I know what designs and colours I'm going to be using. And I just checked that it's going to fit on the width I have available. So make sure you really practice first and just make sure you're happy with your design before you move on to the printing stage. You're just going to need all your normal printing equipment. So I've got my fabric paints, my rag for cleaning my blocks, my printing blocks, and then I'm going to get a foam mat to go underneath me, and I'll move the camera so you can see how I'm printing. So as you can see, I'm ready to start printing. I've got my foam mat underneath me and my equipment all here. So first of all, a little tip when you're printing your panel. Remember the kiss cuts on the other side where the panel has been scored. If you fold this back and forth and then crease the fabric, it will leave you with some lines in the fabric. And this is your guide of where to print in between. So the fabric that is attached to the kiss cut, that's going to be what wraps around the rings. So what I'm going to do is just print my design in between these two crease lines that I have made, as that is going to be the fabric that is visible on your panel. So this little bit at the top and the bottom is what wraps around your wires. So just make sure your design goes within those two lines on the PVC panel. So I'm going to speed this up as you don't want to watch me print the whole time, but I'm going to be doing a beach hut theme with beach huts along the bottom and then some fish and other kind of sea life designs along the top. And just make sure that when you print this, you ensure that you give the block a really good wiggle. Because you've now added the panel to your fabric, it gives you a harder surface to print on. Make sure that you wiggle the block enough. So I've printed the whole panel with my multicoloured beach huts, which I'm really happy with. So I'm now just going to fill in the space above with a mixture of different prints. So I have totally finished printing my panel and I'm so happy with it. It looks very fun and colourful and I think it's going to make a great design for the storage box. So what I'm going to do now is leave it for an hour to ensure it is completely dry, and then we'll come back to the making process. So now that your panel is completely dry, I've cleared my table of all my blocks and paints and everything, so nothing can get smudged. And taking a pair of really sharp scissors, so fabric scissors if you have any, otherwise just some very sharp kitchen scissors, you're going to cut all of the excess fabric off from the PVC panel. So you're going to cut around the PVC panel as neat as you can, cutting all the excess fabric off. So once you have cut all of the excess fabric off of the panel, you'll be left with something like this. So I've cut neatly around all four edges right up to the PVC panel using that as a guide. Once you get to this stage, we're now ready for part 2, which is making. Now for this part, I'm actually going to share with you the professional video that comes with the kit. So I'm going to jump into that video, just because it really clearly shows you how to make your panel into the storage bin. So I'm going to follow the same steps that you're going to watch now, and then I'll come back and show you my finished storage bin.
So now we have the fabric cut out with the PVC, so that's the shape that we're looking for. So now I'm just going to take away these kiss cuts. So all we need to do is just fold back the kiss cut, and you'll hear in places that it will start to crack open. And then round on the other side, exactly the same again. And sometimes if you give it just a tiny little wiggle, then it'll break open. And then we just simply, at the end, I usually just push one down and the other up if it's not already cracked open. We're just going to gently peel back this margin of PVC. So taking the kiss cut away, you can just see that some of the frays are coming off there, but as long as we're not pulling on those too hard, that should be fine. And just exactly the same again, so pushing down and lifting up, and we're just gently going to remove the PVC. So the stickiness will stay on the PVC, not on the fabric. Just a few frays coming off there, so just being a bit gentle. There we go. And with those frays now, what I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to snip those off so they're not going to get into our way. So just before we finish working with the panel, if we just turn it around so the taped end is over here. We just need to look along, and around about 30 centimetres, just over, so about the length of a ruler, you'll see that there's 2 little notches, and those notches we're going to use as a marker, which is quite important in the construction of the bin. So I'm just going to take a pen and just mark those in so I can see them a little bit more clearly. So they're just like little tiny snips into the side of the PVC. So we'll just mark those in. So the next thing I'm going to move on to is the frames. So these are 2 identical frames, and we're going to take our double-sided high-tack tape, and we're just going to simply roll the tape onto the rings. So just let me show you how that's done. So if you just position the tape onto the ring, what we're looking for is for the frame to sit between the 2 edges of the tape. And that's why the tape is transparent. So we're just going to, short bursts, unravel the tape from the roll and moving it down and just round those corners, making sure that it's adhered. And then just before the 2 tapes meet, I usually just snip just a little bit before. And that means that you can easily see where your tapes join, but it also means they don't overlap, which makes it a little bit tricky to pull the backing off. And then with our fingers and thumbs, we're going to roll the tape around the ring. And this is quite important because we just want to make sure that there's as much coverage of the tape as possible on the frame, because the frame is the part that's going to hold the whole sewing bin together. There we go. So that's one, and then we're just going to repeat exactly the same on the second one. Just lining up the tape so it's in the centre. And again, fingers and thumbs just pushing the tape around the frame as much as possible, just to get that as sticky as possible. So we've now done both of our frames with our tape, and it's now time to take the backing tape off. So just one at a time, and just when you pick up the backing tape, you're only peeling away the red section. So just make sure you don't grab the clear section, because that's the actual tape itself. And if any of the tape lifts off, just simply pop it round and you'll feel the tackiness of it. So that's one done, and then what I've just learned to do is just pop that there on my wrist while we do the next one. So there we go. So what's important here is that this centre bar sits on to your mark that you've just marked in with a pen or a pencil. I'm just going to turn this around a little bit so that I can really see my marks, and we're aiming to put down each one, and you can do this individually, just onto the PVC, and the same again at the other side. You're just going to go straight down and onto the PVC. And if you don't get it straight on, you can always lift those up. But what that will make sure is that the 2 frames are totally equal. So it's just good to take your time and do it looking down from over the top as I've just done. Okay. So now we can just turn this back. And what we need to do is just very gently, we're going to bring the sides up. The aim is that the tacky tape, we don't want to put too much pressure on, because that will help us later on when we're tucking everything in, is just to pull that up into position, and the same on this side. And as we move on, that will just tighten up. So we're not putting too much pressure on as we're rolling now. And what we're going to do is we're just going to guide these. And I find it easy just to look at one at a time. Don't worry about both, because you can always peel back. So just making sure that that's sitting just to the edge, and that one's a little bit out. So just, there we go. And then we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to roll over onto this big length. So we're just gently positioning the frame onto the PVC, not pushing down too hard. And here it's just gone off a little bit, so you can see I just lifted that. And then we're going to get to this point here. And what we need to do is simply peel off the backing and we're just going to bring up the PVC towards it so we can get a really nice finish. And just give that a tiny little bit of pressure, but don't push in on there because we don't want to damage the PVC. So that's meeting now. And what you can do with this, if you've got one, if it's optional, is a seam roller, and you just roll down there and that will just secure those two together. And you can see now that the sewing bin is coming together really, really nicely, starting to look really professional. So before we do the next stage, you'll just notice here on the seam that there's two little fabric overlaps. So there's kind of two bits that are the same size that flap over each other. What we want to do is just simply cut away a little square out of here. There we go. And then exactly the same on the other side. So just cut away that inside fabric. Okay, and that prepares us now ready for the next stage. So all we're going to do is, with our fingers and thumbs again, is just push the fabric down. When you get to the centre bar, we just need to do a little snip, and that means that the fabric will then just really nicely sit down either side. So we're just pushing the fabric down and under, and that's giving us a lovely crisp clean edge along here. And when you get to these corners, just fold the fabric around, and that should start to stick to the tape underneath. And again, we get to the centre bar, give that a little snip. So that's one side done, and then we're just going to turn over and do exactly the same on the opposite side. So all we need to do now is just take our finishing tool. As I mentioned before, it's got two long sharp edges and then a sharp point and a serrated edge as well. Now you can use this any way you feel comfortable. I prefer to use the point. I find that most effective for me, but by all means have a go with the serrated edge as well, because that means you can get large amounts underneath. And what we need to do here is we just need to simply take our point or our serrated edge, and we're just going to very gently push the fabric underneath. And you can see that that's going in really, really easily, because we didn't put a lot of pressure when we were positioning the frame onto the PVC. So that's going in really easily. And if you need to, and there's any loose frays, you can just kind of swoop along. And I'm just going to turn that on its end there so you can see. And where we've tucked that fabric earlier, that helps us because it's already started sticking to the little bit of tape there. And just keep moving round until all the fabric is underneath. There we go. So that's one side finished. So you can see how easy that was, just tucking the fabric underneath, and then we just need to repeat the same process on the opposite side. And there we have it. So that's all our tucking in finished. We're just going to pop our base in. That's the last thing we need to do. So just pop your base in. It'll fit really snugly in the bottom, as you can see there. And that's all done.
So I hope you found part 2 of our block printing project easy to follow. I hope you understand why we use the professional video. Obviously it's quite a complicated item to make, or it may seem a little bit complicated. It's actually very simple, and as soon as you've had a go once, you'll have the confidence to make plenty more. But it's a really clear and easy way to show you by using their specific video. So I followed the same steps, and I have finished my storage box. So I'm so happy with this. This was my beach kind of seaside theme one, which I'm so happy with. It's got my sturdy bottom in and it's ready to use. And like I showed you at the beginning of the video, you can choose any design. This was my craft room inspired box. So using lots of different kind of sewing machines and knitting needles and things on that one. And then also I did my meadow design, which is perfect for anywhere around the house. So I hope you can see that this is a lovely printing project and a great excuse to get your blocks out and do something creative. And we hope you'll have a go at home. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.